Alright, so here we go. We're going to take a look at building the simple floor plan. The difference here is we're going to be using our basic architectural template. We're going to walk through the steps of starting with the template, developing the design, and then preparing the page setup for a paper space layout. And through this process, we're going to take a look at customizing the user interface, as well as developing and working with multi-line and multi-line styles. Now this is a simple floor plan that we're going to be developing here, and based on our website information, you can see here's the link for your template. You'll want to save that. As I've saved it here, you can see this is the architectural template. It's in DWT format. If I start a new, or to start a new file, what I can do is simply double click. If I already have my AutoCAD open, just double click on it and it'll produce a brand new drawing based on the settings of that template. So a few things to take note of is, or includes here, the layouts that are available. We're going to be using this A size layout here. There's a bunch of information, but basically you can freeze this dimension information, which just illustrates to you the size of the layout. If your viewport is out of view there, you can adjust it. We're going to come back to this at the very end, so I'll be able to explain to you how we're using paper space layouts and how we plan to use the viewport to present the model. You can see that we already have some predefined layers. If you take a look at the layer manager here, you'll be able to see, if you scroll left to right, you'll be able to see the description for each layer so that you'll know what information goes on each layer. Now, this is a very basic template, which means you're going to be able to build on it. You'll be able to add more information or define even more settings. And we'll do some of that, like add layers, as we continue. Alright, for the moment we want to return to the model space here. Zoom out so you can see the UCS icon. And you might see a defined grid area there. Again, if we were just working in the model space, we would want to define the drawing limits. However, since we are not going to be working just in the model space, we're going to be using the paper space layout for presentation. We're just simply going to ignore the drawing limits. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the grid there. But I do want to pay attention to what my drafting settings are. Okay? And that would include what we have here in terms of our defined polar settings. If you use 15 degrees, that should suffice. You can also use any of the input methods to specify a different angle if you need it. You can see here we have some basic object snap settings that are running, and also that I'm using the object snap tracking. This is going to really help me when I want to lay out those walls or position furnishings. Now, the only other thing that we have to do for the formatting, since we're using our template here, is I'm going to return to the format menu and take a look at my units. Now if we take a look at the drawing here, you can see that we only have feet and inches in terms of the precision. Separately, the size of text that we're using is going to be no smaller than 1/16, but typically it's going to be 1/8 or 3/32 of an inch. So we should pay attention to that and make sure we have the proper precision. As you can see there, 1/32 should suffice. So we will be using the Dimension Style Manager to appropriately show the correct precision for the dimensions. Alright, but as far as the units are concerned here, this looks okay. We can click OK here. And then one more thing before we start drawing is we want to set the target scale. Right? So if you look down here in the status bar, we can see that we've got right now 1/4 of an inch is equal to 1 foot. And we want to make sure we turn this to blue, this button here, which is our annotation visibility control. And we want to filter out everything else. So we just want to focus on the annotations created for 1/4 inch scale. If you look up here in my draw panel, and let me pin that right there, you can see I have the multi-line draw tool the multi-line edit tool and the multi-line style selection tool here. In order to get these tools into your panel here, let me just show you a quick way to customize the user interface. What you'll do here is if you go to Tools, scroll down to Customize and select Interface. In this dialog box, what you'll be able to do is take a look in the upper left-hand corner here and find the ribbon folder and then look at the panels folder. Scroll down to the Home 2D folder there, and you can start to see here's row 1, row 2, and row 3. If I select that actual panel, I should get a preview on the right side of this screen. Now you can see how I've already customized my tools there, but let me just show you by using row 2. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down here in the bottom left hand corner and look for my multi-line commands. So once you find it, you could simply select it, left click, drag it up along the side, and then drop it anywhere you want. And we're going to put it in row 3, but just to illustrate to you, I'm going to put it here at the end of row 2, and you should see my preview update. You may not see it here yet until you apply and click OK. Alright, so you'll want to make sure you see the multi-line edit, and multi-line style tools, which you can grab from this area of the dialog box. Alright, once you have that, let me go ahead and just remove this. Then you should have the tools that you're going to be using accessible right in front of you. Alright, now the next step is we're going to define a multi-line style. If we look back at the drawing here, that's going to represent these two lines that are the exterior wall of this classroom floor plan. And these lines are separated by 6 inches. What we want to do is we're going to create the multi-line style with these two lines, and we're going to actually add a fill. So let's take a look at how we'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and open up the multi-line manager, and you may see some multi-line styles there already. We're just going to go ahead and create our own. So click on New, and we'll give it a name. I'll just call this Exterior, or just abbreviate. Put in 6 inches, just like that, and continue. Now, starting on the left side here, we have Description, which you can provide a description for you to better recognize what this style represents. But I'm going to use a line at the start and at the end. This is going to help us when we start to trim the wall to show the openings for the doors and the windows. The other thing is, you'll see here in this list, in this box, you'll see the list of lines that you have along with their properties. You can see both of these lines. This is started at 0, and this other line is started 6 units away, or 6 inches in this case, from the previous line. You can see both lines will be defined by the layer on which they're drawn. That's exactly what we want. Now, in addition, we're going to provide a screen back color as the fill color there. Go ahead and review these settings, and when you're done, click OK. Now, there's our defined multi-line style. If you don't see that it's current right now, make sure you select it and set it to current. That way, when you start drawing with the multi-line, you know you're drawing with the right style. Click OK, and now we're ready to begin.